Okay, so you know how much time sales and marketing teams spend trying to figure out which leads are actually going to, turn into customers. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. But um, what if there was a way to predict who's most likely to buy? Well, it's exactly what we're diving into today. Predictive lead scoring.
It's like using data to build a crystal ball.
Oh, I like that. So we're not just relying on like gut feelings or basic demographics anymore. We're talking about using actual insights to figure out who to prioritize.
And that means your sales team can stop wasting time chasing after people who are never going to buy.
I can already hear sales teams everywhere cheering. But let's get down to brass tacks. What exactly is the data we're talking about here? What's the secret sauce behind this predictive lead scoring magic?
Think of all the info you can gather about someone who visits your website. Their demographics, what company they work for, and even more importantly, their behavior on your site.
Yeah.
What pages are they looking at? What are they downloading? How long are they staying on each page? It's like a treasure trove of insights just waiting to be discovered.
So it's not just about who they are, but what they actually do online. Actions speak louder than words, right?
100%. And that's where things get really interesting. Imagine you could see that the CEO of your dream client just spent like 10 minutes on your pricing page.
Whoa! That's not just a signal. That's a giant flashing neon sign saying, I'm ready to buy. But how do we even get that level of insight? It sounds almost too good to be true.
Well, there are some pretty amazing tools out there that can actually reveal the identity of those anonymous website visitors. One example is TrafficID. It uses a combination of IP address lookups and data enrichment to connect the dots.
So we're basically unmasking those mystery visitors. We're not just looking at website traffic anymore. We're seeing real people with real buying potential.
Exactly. And by understanding how those people behave online, we can actually predict how likely they are to become a paying customer. Think about it. Are they downloading case studies? Are they attending your webinars? Are they requesting demos? All of those actions paint a clear picture of their level of interest.
It's like we're reading their minds. But in a good way, of course. We're using data to understand what our leads are thinking and feeling.
Exactly. That's the whole power of predictive lead scoring.
So instead of just guessing, we can actually quantify this behavior and assign scores to leads based on what they're doing.
Exactly. That gives your sales team a clear roadmap of who to prioritize.
Okay, I'm definitely sold on the idea. But let's get practical for a second. How do we actually build a lead scoring model that works for our specific business? Seems like there are a ton of variables to consider.
That's where the beauty of customization comes in. You get to define the scoring criteria that really align with your specific goals. You decide which actions matter most, what industries or company sizes you're targeting, even what geographic areas you want to focus on.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Not all.
We're building a model that's actually tailor-made for our business.
I like that. But you've mentioned TrafficID a few times now. Can you tell us a little bit more about what makes it so special? Well, one of the most impressive things about TrafficID is its ability to help businesses prioritize those high-value accounts right away. You don't have to wait for leads to fill out forms or anything like that. You can identify those golden opportunities right from the start.
So it's like having a VIP list of all those potential customers who are already showing interest in what you're offering.
Exactly.
But how do we actually use that information to our advantage?
Let me paint you a picture. Imagine getting a notification the moment a decision maker from one of your target accounts lands on your pricing page. Instead of waiting days or weeks to follow up, your sales team can reach out to that person immediately.
Wow, you're catching them at the exact moment they're most interested.
Exactly.
But what about that personalized outreach? What does that look like in the real world?
Okay, let's say you're selling software, and a lead from a Fortune 500 company is spending a lot of time on the page that explains your enterprise-level features. Well, your sales rep, thanks to TrafficID, could reach out to that person with a message like, hey, I noticed you were checking out our enterprise features. Would you be interested in a personalized demo?
That's so smart. You're showing them that you actually understand what they need.
Exactly.
It's all about making that connection.
And building a relationship right from the get-go.
This is incredible. We're not just talking about closing deals faster. We're talking about creating stronger relationships with customers right from the very beginning.
You got it.
This is a total game changer.
And it's not just about new customers either. TrafficID can also be a powerful tool for boosting sales from your existing customer base. But we'll dive into that a little bit later.
Okay, sounds good. But now let's zoom out a bit. What are some of the bigger benefits that businesses see when they embrace predictive lead scoring as a whole? Let's unpack that in the next part of our deep dive. This is getting really interesting.
It's really amazing how predictive lead scoring can change the entire sales process. It's not just about finding those leads, it's about making every stage of the process smarter and more efficient.
I'm all ears. So tell me, how does this translate into real benefits for businesses?
Well, one of the biggest advantages is that your sales team can prioritize leads much better. Imagine giving your sales team a list of leads ranked by how likely they are to buy.
That would be amazing.
No more of that old spray and pray approach. They can focus all their energy on the leads that have the highest potential.
So no more wasted time chasing after leads that are going nowhere. That sounds like a dream come true for any sales team.
Yeah, and it's not just about the sales team either. Predictive lead scoring can really improve the alignment between marketing and sales. It's like they're speaking the same language now.
So marketing can make sure they're sending over highly qualified leads. And sales can have confidence knowing they're getting leads who are actually ready to buy,
Exactly. It's about breaking down those silos and getting everyone working together towards the same goal.
which is ultimately driving more revenue.
And speaking of revenue, predictive lead scoring can have a huge impact on your bottom line. When you're targeting the right leads with the right message at the right time, your chances of closing deals go way up.
That's what it's all about. More closed deals, more revenue, and more happy customers. But you mentioned earlier that TrafficID can also be used to increase sales from existing customers. Can you explain how that works?
It's all about nurturing those relationships, but with the help of data. By tracking how your existing customers interact with your brand, you can identify opportunities to upsell or cross-sell them. For example, are they downloading resources related to a higher tier product? Or maybe they're spending time on comparison pages. These behaviors can tell you that they might be ready to expand their relationship with your company.
So it's like picking up on those subtle cues.
Exactly.
And with predictive lead scoring, you can do this on a large scale.
You can analyze all that customer data to figure out who's most likely to be interested in an upsell or cross-sell offer.
That's pretty powerful.
For example, a customer who regularly reads blog posts about your advanced features might be a good candidate for a premium subscription.
So it's all about providing more value to your customers and strengthening those relationships. But let's talk about the role of AI in all of this for a second. It sounds incredibly futuristic. Can you explain how AI actually works when it comes to predictive lead scoring?
AI is really the engine that makes all of this possible. It uses special algorithms to learn from your data, and those algorithms can identify the things that are most likely to lead to a conversion.
So it's not just crunching numbers, it's about finding the meaning in those numbers and using that meaning to predict what's going to happen in the future.
Exactly. And the amazing thing about AI is that it gets smarter over time. The more data you feed it, the more accurate its predictions become.
That's pretty cool. But I have to ask, is there a risk of becoming too reliant on AI? Could we end up losing that human touch that's so important in sales and marketing?
That's a great question. It's important to remember that AI is just a tool. It's not a replacement for human judgment.
So it's like having a co-pilot.
Exactly. AI can help you navigate all that complex data, but you're still the one in control. You're still the one making the decisions.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between human intuition and AI insights.
Absolutely.
AI can help us identify those high potential leads, but it's still our human skills like empathy, communication, and relationship building that really nurture those leads and turn them into customers.
You got it.
It's a powerful reminder that even in this age of AI, human skills are still incredibly valuable. Now, we've talked about all the amazing things that predictive lead scoring can do, but are there any potential downsides or challenges that businesses should be aware of?
Like any tool, predictive lead scoring needs to be used carefully.
Okay.
One challenge is making sure that your data is clean, consistent, and complete. If your data is messy or inaccurate, your model won't be very effective.
So garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
What other challenges should we be thinking about?
Another potential pitfall is what we call overfitting. This happens when your model becomes too specialized to your past data, and it doesn't generalize well to new leads.
So it's like training a dog to fetch only a specific type of ball. And then you throw a different kind of ball, and the dog has no idea what to do.
That's a great analogy.
So we need a model that can adapt and learn as our business changes and grows.
Right. That's why it's so important to regularly retrain and refine your model to make sure it stays accurate over time.
Okay. And of course, implementing any new system can be costly. So what kind of investment are we talking about here when it comes to predictive lead scoring?
The costs can vary depending on how complex your model is and the specific tools you choose.
But it's important to remember that the potential return on investment can be huge.
Exactly. By making your sales process more efficient. improving your conversion rates, and maximizing your marketing ROI. Predictive lead scoring can really transform your business.
So it's an investment worth considering. But let's shift gears for a minute and talk about something that often gets overlooked. How does predictive lead scoring affect the customer experience?
That's a really important question at the end of the day. We want to use technology to make things better for our customers.
Right. So how does predictive lead scoring actually improve the customer experience?
Well, one of the key benefits is personalization. By understanding what your leads need and want based on their data, you can tailor your messages to be more relevant and engaging. It's like moving from a mass-produced marketing campaign to a handcrafted experience.
It's like the difference between getting a generic holiday card
Yeah.
and a handwritten note from a friend.
You got it. That personal touch can make all the difference.
And predictive lead scoring can help you deliver that personal touch at scale,
It can help you make sure that every lead feels valued and understood.
which leads to greater satisfaction, stronger relationships, and ultimately more loyal customers.
Exactly.
So it's not just about closing a sale, it's about building a real connection with your customers.
Absolutely.
And data, when used ethically and thoughtfully, can actually help us do that.
It can humanize the entire sales and marketing process. It can make it less about pushing products and more about understanding and meeting the needs of individual people.
That's a really powerful idea. It sounds like predictive lead scoring has the potential to revolutionize the way we do business and make the experience better for our customers at the same time.
It's a win-win when it's done right. Now, I want to share a story with you. It really illustrates the power of predictive lead scoring. I was recently talking to a marketing director at a tech company. They were really struggling to find qualified leads from their website traffic.
Oof, I can imagine.
Their sales team was wasting a lot of time chasing after leads that were going nowhere.
It sounds like they were trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Exactly. So they decided to implement a predictive lead scoring system, and it changed everything.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, their new system started analyzing all sorts of website behavior. Things like what pages people were visiting, what content they were downloading, whether they were attending webinars. And then it used all that data to assign a score to each lead, predicting how likely they were to become a customer.
So their sales team finally had a prioritized list of leads to focus on.
Exactly. They were able to stop wasting time on those unqualified leads and focus their energy on the ones who were most likely to buy.
Did they see any results from that?
Oh, yeah. Their conversion rates went through the roof. They were closing deals faster, and they were spending way less time chasing after those dead-end leads.
Wow, it sounds like they found a secret weapon.
And their marketing team was thrilled too, because they finally had a way to measure how effective their campaigns were.
It's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
But that's just one example, right? Are other companies seeing similar success with predictive lead scoring?
Absolutely. There are tons of companies out there, across all sorts of industries, who are using predictive lead scoring to transform their sales and marketing.
It sounds like predictive lead scoring is becoming a must-have for any business that wants to stay ahead of the curve.
It really is.
But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to talk about something we haven't touched on yet: the ethical considerations.
That's a great point. With great power comes great responsibility.
Right.
We need to make sure we're using predictive lead scoring in a way that respects people's privacy.
So what are some of those ethical considerations? And how can we make sure we're using this technology responsibly? Let's dive into that in the final part of our deep dive. We've talked a lot about how powerful predictive lead scoring can be, but we also need to remember that it comes with some ethical responsibilities. We can't just use technology without thinking about how it affects real people.
Right. We're working with really sensitive data here,
Yeah.
information about people and what they do online. We have to handle that data very carefully and respectfully.
So where do we start? What are the most important ethical things we need to keep in mind when we're using data to drive sales and marketing?
I think transparency is the most important thing. People need to know what data you're collecting about them, how you're using it, and why you're using it. You have to be upfront and clear about your data practices.
So it's all about building trust, right? If people feel like you're hiding something or being tricky with their data, they're not going to trust your brand.
Exactly. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, even the relationship between a business and its customers.
So how do we actually build that trust? What are some specific things businesses can do to be more transparent about their data?
One of the most important things is to have a clear and easy to understand privacy policy. It should explain exactly what data you collect and how you use it. And it can't be buried somewhere on your website. You need to make it really easy for people to find and read.
It's like having an open and honest conversation with your customers.
Exactly. You're not trying to hide anything. You're being upfront about how you use data and giving people the information they need to make their own decisions.
So it's all about giving people control over their data.
Absolutely. And when you respect people's choices, you're showing them that you value their privacy.
I think a lot of businesses worry that if they're too transparent about their data collection, it'll scare customers away. But it sounds like you're saying that honesty is actually the best policy.
In my experience, people appreciate honesty. They want to know that you're not going to misuse their data.
That makes sense.
Mm.
But transparency is just one piece of the puzzle, right?
Mm-hmm.
What else do we need to be thinking about?
Another really important thing is fairness. You need to make sure you're using data in a way that's fair and responsible. And that means avoiding anything that could lead to discrimination or bias.
Can you give me an example of what that might look like with predictive lead scoring?
Sure. Let's say your model finds that people who live in certain zip codes are less likely to buy your product. You can't use that information to exclude those people from your marketing or to offer them different products or services.
So even if the data shows a pattern, you can't use that pattern to treat people unfairly.
Exactly. You have to be very careful about bias in your data and your algorithms, and you need to take steps to make sure you're not perpetuating any unfair practices.
It sounds like a lot of responsibility, but it's also an opportunity to do things the right way and to build a business that people can trust.
I absolutely agree. This is a chance for businesses to be leaders in ethical data practices, to show that you can use data for good while still respecting people's rights and privacy.
I love that. It's not about being afraid of technology. It's about using it thoughtfully to create a better world.
That's what we should all be striving for.
This has been such an insightful conversation. We've covered so much ground, from the technical details of predictive lead scoring to the ethical implications of AI and data.
It's been a pleasure talking to you about this.
I hope our listeners are feeling inspired to use predictive lead scoring in their businesses, but to use it responsibly and ethically.
That's our goal.
Until next time, everyone. Happy scoring, but score responsibly.